Welcome to cinepro, where we bring your favorite movies back to life with quick recaps, hidden details, and everything you missed. The home movie begins with a young man named Max sitting alone in his room, sad, listening to the weather news talking about a destructive storm approaching the city. Max looks at a picture of his brother Luke and recalls the day their family celebrated Luke's acceptance to university. We learn that the bond between them was stronger than blood. Max's cat enters, and he starts drawing to express his anger because he can't imagine Luke leaving him and moving away. Luke assures him he will never leave and that the distance between them will barely be an hour. He promises to always write letters and visit during holidays, and after graduation, he will return and they will plan their future together. In the present, we see Max illegally entering a building and starting to draw graffiti on the walls to release the anger inside him. He paints graffiti expressing that his future is burning. At that moment, the police arrive and arrest Max, detaining him. Max recalls the day he heard his parents crying, and when he woke up and went out to understand what happened, his father was shocked. Luke had committed suicide and left a note saying he was struggling with problems at university. His father couldn't understand why Luke didn't come to them instead of taking his life. Since then, Max's state changed, and he could no longer accept the idea that he lost his brother who meant everything to him. In the present, Max meets his father at the detention center. His father starts blaming him for always breaking into buildings and vandalizing public property with graffiti. He tells him he must take responsibility and mentions that since Luke's death, Max has changed. They interrupt Max and ask him to stop, often thinking he has lost hope. They inform his father that they contacted the judge and pleaded for help, who agreed that Max should not serve his sentence in prison, but rather do community service. Max thanks him because he had thought he is going to prison, and he asks what he will do there. His father explains to him that he will spend the next 4 months in a nursing home called Green Meadows, where he will work as a cleaning supervisor. Max is shocked and insists that he does not agree to serve his sentence in elderly care. His father explains that this is his last chance and that he must follow the rules and that he will go to prison. Then Max arrives at the home and notices a suspicious-looking old man watching him from a room on the 4th floor. He ignores him and decides to enter the home. Max arrives at his station and meets the cleaning staff working in the home. They begin to explain the nature of his job, and the supervisor, John, hands him the key, explaining that it opens most doors except certain corridors in the basement. The supervisor emphasizes that he must not enter the residents' rooms unless necessary and advises Max to stay away from the 4th floor because the residents there need special care. Max starts going through the rooms to clean them and accidentally notices an open room. He enters and is shocked to see an elderly woman wearing a scary and strange mask, accompanied by a person also wearing a mask. He decides to leave quickly. Then Max goes to the swimming pool and meets a woman named Norma. She learns that he is new at work, greets him kindly, and tells him he looks like someone she knows. Max introduces himself and says he is happy to meet her. At that moment, one of the trainees at the pool starts bleeding, and the coach calls them to help because she entered the pool after a skin treatment session. Norma asks Max to help her get out of the water. In the morning, Max wakes up to loud knocking and is shocked by the moaning of the residents wanting him to clean the place where their colleague was sitting because he made a mess there. When Max enters with them, he discovers they have thrown him a welcome party, and Max is very happy because he won't have to clean anything. He reassures the former theater actor that it was just a trick, shakes his hand, and they realize they decided to welcome him in an informal way. They all approach him to shake his hand and welcome him. Then Max notices that one of the residents is drawing in a strange way and looking at him with even stranger looks. At that moment, Saban, the doctor of the home, approaches Max, and he learns that his father died alone because he wasn't with him and was busy studying at university. But after his death, he kept asking himself what his father's last moments alone were like, and since then, he hasn't been able to forgive himself. Max tries to comfort him and ease his pain. Saban apologizes for exaggerating in his words, but explains that this is how he likes to say that the elderly are kind people who deserve peace in their final days. He assures him that his eyes look beautiful and why. Max is surprised by this strange compliment, but thanks him. Max then hears loud music and goes out to find the source of the sound. He discovers that some of the residents are dancing together, so he decides to return to his room. On the way, he hears muffled screams from the ventilation opening in the ceiling. Suddenly, Norma appears and asks him why he has been shouting until now. Max is surprised because she didn't hear the sound he heard, but he decides not to talk about it and replies that he just couldn't sleep. She confirms. Norma also can't sleep and suggests they talk to each other, hoping the conversation will make them happy. She invites him into her room, and when Max enters Norma's room, he notices a small statue shaped like a glass lying on the floor. He tells her that the statue looks familiar to him. Norma explains that one of her friends in the home died 4 years ago and was the one who gave her that statue. She used to make these statues by hand. Max points to a painting and tells her he imagines that painting is also a gift, but he is surprised that it is split in half. Norma tells him that her son Jacob painted that painting for Mother's Day, and when they had a disagreement, he tore the painting. She shocks him by saying that Jacob died some time ago. Max offers his condolences and assures her he didn't know. Norma explains that this is why she can't sleep because she keeps thinking all the time and asks him why he also can't sleep. Max says it's probably for the same reason. In the morning, Max notices Lou rehearsing a play with his colleagues. So he enters and tells him that what he is doing is very enjoyable. He approaches him, understanding that he is trying to pass on his experience and the things he learned in theater. Max knows there are no good actors in the home, but it's enough that they enjoy themselves. Max confirms to him that what he is doing is very enjoyable, and his colleagues seem to be having a great time. So he is very happy with his words and thanks him. He explains that people spend their lives trying to live longer, but when they reach the end, boredom is what takes them to the grave, not illness. That's why when a person gets old, they must fill their life with laughter, happiness, and love. At that moment, John enters and informs Max that they need him at work. So Max leaves to see his job, and before he leaves, he confirms to him that boredom is a cursed thing. While Max is watching his work, he hears screams again, so he decides to go up to the 4th floor to find out what is happening. He is surprised to find a hall with a large group of very frightening old people who look very sick and exhausted. He notices that some of them are bleeding from their eyes. At that moment, an old man sees him and starts attacking him, so Max tries to calm him down and explains the situation. At that moment, Liz discovers Max's presence and quickly approaches him with John to prevent the old man from attacking him. They tell him to leave quickly. After that, Max goes to Saban's office, who tells him that Liz is not at work and is upset with his behavior. He assures Max that he is also upset. Max tries to justify his situation and explains to Saban that he heard a scream and decided to go up to find out what was happening. Saban starts blaming him for opening the door without having the keys. He tells him that they all know the reason for his presence there and advises him that this should be a new beginning for him and an opportunity to overcome the mistakes he made in the past. Therefore, he must adhere to the rules. Max apologizes and promises that what happened will not happen again. At night, we see Max watching the party organized by the residents of the home next to the swimming pool. At that moment, Norma arrives and calls out to him. He is surprised and asks why she is not attending the party. Norma says she is not in the mood to celebrate and tells him she knows he went up to the 4th floor. She assures him that news in the nursing home spreads quickly. Max tells her that the people on the 4th floor seem strange, as if they are lost, and their eyes have something scary in them. Norma stops him from talking and advises him to forget everything he saw because he will not be able to offer them anything, nor will anyone be able to help them. After that, Max decides to go up to the 4th floor again, and he finds all the people in it as they are, still sitting in their wheelchairs. He approaches the man who is trying to attack him and notices that he is standing in a corner, scared. He reassures him that he will not harm him. At that moment, the man turns around and tries to strangle him. Max is shocked when he sees the rest of the people. They look terrifying, and their disabilities are protruding from their bodies. At that moment, Max wakes up from his sleep and starts breathing as he realizes that everything he saw was just a nightmare. The next day, Max is with a group of his friends, and they notice that he looks very tired. They find out that Max couldn't sleep well. They tell him there are rumors that they control the oxygen levels through ventilation openings to ensure that the residents sleep well. They confirm that when they sleep, they look almost dead, and no one can wake them up. At that time, Max notices that Sabian and Weiss are discussing with Norma in a very harsh manner, and it appears that she's afraid of them and asks them not to touch her. After that, Max goes to Norma's room, and when she opens the door, she is wearing evening clothes and tells him that every month she hosts a party to solve police mysteries. Max tells her he came to check on her because he saw her talking with Sabian and Weiss. Norma assures him that she is fine. Max tells her that he thought about what she told him about her son and decided to return the favor. He tells her that his brother died when he was 11 years old, and his parents did not allow him to attend the funeral because they see that he is young, and that didn't stop him from saying goodbye to his brother. Because of that, he constantly thinks about him and can't sleep well. He gives her a gift, and Norma discovers that she is the missing piece of the painting her son drew. Norma is very happy with the gift and feels that their hearts understand each other. She gets closer to Max and confesses to him that something suspicious and very bad is happening in the home. She advises him to leave. At that moment, she sees someone in the hallway, so she ends the conversation, gets nervous, and asks Max to leave so she can prepare for the evening. Afterward, Max leaves his room to talk to Norma and understand what she meant. He sees John and asks where Norma is. They inform him that she was transferred to the medical clinic because she has diabetes and her sugar level dropped significantly, which made her a bit confused. They reassure him that she is sleeping, and they will monitor her all night. In the morning, Max is cleaning the garden and notices that one of the detainees on the 4th floor is cutting his finger and writing on the glass. Suddenly, He is shocked to see Norma fall on the iron fence and die. Afterward, the midday residents gather to bid farewell to Norma. Sabine hands a letter to the policewoman found in Norma's room, confirming that she committed suicide because she wanted to join her deceased son. At a welcome party, Norma brings Max closer to Lulu, who seems very sad because Norma was helping him with his diet plan. She tells him he must stick to it because he might have a relapse and return to acting. Max asks if Norma could really have committed suicide. He is surprised and asks why he says that. They learn that Norma had told him that something suspicious and very bad was happening in the home, and the next day she committed suicide. He is shocked, goes into a seizure, then returns to normal. Max understands that this condition always happens to him. In the morning, Max decides to enter Norma's room, even though he is forbidden from doing so. Suddenly, he appears again, and they blame him because he doesn't follow the rules. They threaten him that this time the doctor will call the police. Max tries to convince him that he was looking for something related to Norma to keep it. He understands that Norma has no family, and all her belongings will be burned, and they find out that the patient will leave. But he warns him not to repeat such behavior again. Max goes down to his room and catches the glass and Norma's notes before they are burned. He discovers that she wrote that they enter their rooms at night with injections and turn them into people like the ones Max saw on the 4th floor. She knows that the back could be affected, or the shoulder. Max goes to Lou's room and is shocked when he sees him pulling out his teeth with pliers because he can't control his desires and stop eating and follow the diet since Norma was the one helping him. It appears he is not in his normal state, so Max tries to take the pliers from him and calls the staff for help. Max returns to his cat and begins gathering information about Dr. Sabin. He discovers that he was top of his class and graduated from Harvard University and conducts research on dementia affecting the elderly over 75 years old. He's surprised to find news saying that Sabin was dismissed because he conducted an experimental eye treatment that caused controversy in medical circles. Suddenly, an ad appears to Max and takes him into a strange conversation with a terrifying character. At that moment, he hears loud screams from the ventilation shafts. In the morning, Max thinks about installing surveillance cameras in the corridor. Suddenly, the character who appeared in the ad speaks to him and tells him someone is coming. Max is shocked when he hears knocking at the door, so he quickly closes the laptop. When he opens it again, he discovers that Juno has come to inform him that Lou will be fine and asks them to be on the 1st floor within minutes to check his work. Max quickly returns, opens his laptop, and tries to understand who is talking to him and how they knew someone was at the door. The character tells him that they are watching him. He asks if what is happening has anything to do with Sabian. The character assures him that the matter is much bigger than that and advises him to go to his work so no one suspects him. She begs him to help her so she can also help the residents of the home before they all turn into monsters. She explains that they killed Norma because she found out things she wasn't supposed to know, and he might be killed too. Max goes down to the 1st floor and notices that most of the residents are suffering from neck pain. He understands that this is because of the injection Norma wrote about in her notes. He decides to install surveillance cameras to understand what is happening when he is not there. At that moment, someone arrives and apologizes for seeing him in the state he was in yesterday. Max assures him there's no need to apologize. The man explains that he feels something wrong is happening to him and becomes afraid of disappearing. Max tries to calm him and explains that the problem is with the place, not with him. He confirms that Norma was right when she said he is a good young man. Afterwards, Max decides to install surveillance cameras in multiple places in the home. He returns to his room, turns on the cameras, and is surprised to see a man on the 4th floor leaving the hall and approaching the camera as if seeking help. He disappears, and then Max discovers that Juno is moving a patient in a wheelchair. She meets Liz and Sabian, and they take her to the basement, where they find someone protecting them along with a dog. Max goes down to the basement and hears the screams of the patient they detain. Suddenly, the man with the dog sees him and moves towards him, so Max quickly escapes and returns to his room. There, the character who appears to him on the laptop pleads for his help so she can assist the elderly. Max is surprised and asks who she is. The girl asks him to read the message she has and explains that there is a company called Almond, affiliated with the U.S. Department of Health Services. Max asks what that means, and the girl shocks him by revealing that the government funds this company. All the research, tests, new experimental drugs, and strange genetic experiments. She explains that all the weird and disgusting ideas are first tested on animals and then on humans. Max understands that the government exploits the elderly because if they get sick or develop dementia, no one will question it, considering it an age-related disease, and if they die, no one will ask why. The girl assures him that what he is doing is very important, and he must uncover the truth. Max asks who she is and why she cares about what is happening. She admits that her father was in a regular room but has now been moved to the 4th floor. She begs him to continue his work because if he finds evidence, they might be able to help her father and his friends. When the girl leaves, She is shocked when an elderly man from the fourth floor attacks her and assaults Max, knocking him onto a table where he hits his head and loses consciousness. Then he imagines Sabian experimenting on him as well, and begins to have strange nightmares. In the morning, he regains consciousness and feels that he now has a mark on his neck. He sees Juno beside him talking about global warming and the storm, the news that they discuss all the time, and she sees it as just a trick. So Max asks her what happened to him. She explains that he had a new fall and his vital signs were unstable, all because of a patient's attack from the fourth floor. And she reassures him that Ben is investigating the matter, but it's certain that the patient intended to harm him, and she assures him that they will take care of him, and Dr. Sabin will do another examination for him. She goes out to inform Sabin that Max has woken up. Max takes advantage of the opportunity and escapes, calling his father to take him home, and Max arrives home with his father, who starts blaming him for breaking the rules, and says the police will surely come to arrest him because he did not complete his service at the home, and asks if he is using drugs. Max confirms to him that he did nothing except try to help, so his father tells him he will make calls so he doesn't go back to prison. They inform his mother that they have adopted 2 new girls, and she asks them to welcome their brother, telling him that he is a little tired and will rest in his old room. After a while, Max wakes up and thanks his mother because she takes care of him, and she tells him she knows he was trying to do something right, and explains that hearts recognize each other. Max is surprised because that phrase was repeated by Norma, and he asks his mother what she said. She tells him that she heard the phrase from an old friend but can't remember who, and assures him that the phrase reminds her of him. When his mother goes out with his father, Max takes the opportunity and goes down to ask the 2 new girls if they have seen Norma with his mother. They confirm that they have never seen her before. So Max goes back upset and sure that there is a secret he doesn't understand. He follows the 2 girls and asks them if he managed to reach the secret place. Max is surprised and asks what the secret place is. The 2 girls tell him that the small statue he has is similar to the statues they see in the secret place. The 2 girls suggest to him to come with them to show him, and they ask him not to tell anyone. Max goes with them to a secret room, and they tell him that they found it months ago, and there is a cup exactly like the one he has. Max reads the note about the reflections and realizes it symbolizes a goddess named De, who was considered the goddess of youth in the Roman civilization. The girls also tell him there are old pictures and ask him to see them. Max discovers an album from 1997 showing his father and mother with the residents of the home, and he is shocked when he sees an album from 2009 showing his brother with the residents looking very sick and sitting in a wheelchair. Max quickly returns to the home, goes up to the 4th floor, and discovers that the old man who was always trying to attack him is Luke's brother. They realize he understood that Max was trying to warn him. Luke is very happy, especially when Max thinks that what they share is stronger than a blood bond and that he never forgot him. Max asks Luke to help him understand what is happening here, and he understands that when he was in the group, he was working at the home, and his family convinced him to commit suicide. He shows him the picture and asks who is with him in it. Luke points out that those with him in the picture are the ones currently in the hall. Max asks him to help him understand more. At that moment, Elle arrives and injects Max with a sedative, causing him to lose consciousness. When he wakes up, he finds himself in Luke's place at a large party gathering. The whole group asks Max about what is happening. Luke begins to thank all his colleagues who participated with him in the play they made about Max, including his father and mother. They understand that the government conspiracy, mental illnesses, and the hallucinations he was seeing were all just a story he created to entertain himself, like what they do with a young man who comes to the house. Max confirms that he doesn't understand what he is saying, so he asks Sabian to explain to Max what is going on. Sabian explains that they wanted to entertain him before draining him and stealing his youth. He and the whole group begin to praise this youth. After a while, Max is moved to the operating room, and Sabia explains that he will only feel a slight sting when the needle pierces his eye. He tells him that the elixir of youth is real, but exists inside the human body in a small sac behind the right eye, and science rejected the idea, considering it just a gland. But this is what revealed the truth to them, and that's why they will take its nectar from him, because their nectar disappears over time. He assures him that they used to drain him every night because this nectar is what keeps them young no matter how old they get. His father talks, and they learn that his mother is 109 years old, and they say that he is also 93 years old with an age of 128. Max asks his father and mother why they are doing this to him. His mother reveals that they sent all the children they adopted to the house to extract their nectar. They reassure Sabian that they will take only a small part from him today, but Max has a different opinion, to take all the nectar from him because when he wakes up, he will finish all of them. Sabian assures him that this is not possible because when he wakes up, he will feel like he is 100 years old. They reassure him that soon he will find himself on the 4th floor with his brother. Sabian begins to inject the syringe into Max's eye to extract his youth nectar. After a while, Max regains consciousness and finds himself in a wheelchair, exhausted and weakening. Sabin approaches him and explains that Norma sympathized with him and tried to help him walk out of the home, which is why they got rid of her. He advises Max to rest because he still has a lot of youth nectar, and they need him. The next day, Max sees a kulak extracting youth nectar from all his colleagues in the hall and presenting it to Max to regain his strength. Then Juno enters and is shocked that Max has moved from his chair. Max comes out, gets rid of her, and goes down to kill all the employees in the residence he encounters in a brutal way. His father and mother try to escape, but the storm intensifies and a part of the building collapses on them, killing them. Max decides to reclaim from the elders all the youth nectar they drained from his brother and his colleagues who are imprisoned on the 4th floor. When the storm subsides, we see Max outside with Luke and all his colleagues after they have started to recover some of their youth that the elders and the home's residents had drained. And this is the end of the movie. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get more new videos. See you next time.